Hi, my name is Kathleen and you're here at Karuna Lane Sanctuary. We've been here for about 4 years now and I'm going to give you a quick little tour. So this is Richard. He's actually one of the first animals that called Karuna Lane home. He's been here for 3 to 4 years. He's a big guy. He's also probably the most handsome. Look at that beard. He lives here with Sugar, who's up on top of the roof there. And they lounge and have a pretty good time. That one's John. Yeah, he's nice.
Horns.
He does have horns.
No, nice.
Oh no, he's very nice. So Hank actually used to live on a farm and he had another goat friend named Greta. And unfortunately, Greta was hit by a car. And Hank lived with that farmer for a little bit longer, but he was the only goat there, so he was getting pretty lonely. And the farmer just felt pretty bad about it and wanted him to have lots of friends. And instead of buying more animals, he knew about Karuna Lane Sanctuary and came here one day and asked if it might be okay to bring Hank here. And I thought it would be a great idea, and Hank has been here ever since. And he has lots of friends now, actually. He's so sweet, aren't you?
Baby.
So this is Bruno. He came to us when he was really, really young. He was actually at the St. Jacob's market and was supposed to be killed because he was so sick. He had pneumonia and a whole bunch of other things going on. But an activist was able to negotiate getting Bruno and brought him here. We treated him. He had a rough winter, but he's in perfect health now, and he's honestly the nicest sheep we have. He nuzzles your neck, he cuddles, he's just an all-around nice guy. Aren't you, Bruno? So this is my chicken motel, I guess you could call it. One of the things that comes up a lot in Sanctuary is that you're constantly getting emails and messages from people who want you to take their rooster. Unfortunately, roosters are considered unnecessary by the industry, problematic by neighborhoods who try to have backyard chickens, and so they're often disposed of either at the side of the road or in the woods or at sanctuaries. So I built this with the intention of being able to help and house as many roosters as I could, but it's still not big enough. And the reason that I had to create all these separate coops is that sometimes roosters don't get along. This way I'm able to rotate who's in, who's out throughout the day and still give them space and sunshine and fresh air and freedom while kind of managing the drama that can come up between them. And the other thing is that although people are concerned about noise in neighborhoods with backyard chickens and backyard roosters, they're actually no louder than having a bunch of kids in the backyard. So here I have roosters crowing all the time. It actually sounds really nice. They're not as loud as people think that they're going to be. And the other concern people have is that all roosters fight, and that's definitely not the case. I have quite a few roosters who are all out at the same time. It just takes management and figuring out who's going to get along well with who. It's the same with humans. So right now we're in one of the coops for the momos, and if you take a look you can see all the different coops that are going down that way, and each one has a different flock in it. So depending on the time of day or sometimes the day, different flocks will be out at different times. Sometimes a whole bunch of them all at once, but like I said before, it depends on who gets along and who doesn't. So each chicken flock has a front run area. Usually we have plants in here for them, vegetation, a nice nesting box, and then in colder temperatures or in super hot temperatures, they have the option to go in here. And this is usually, sorry honey, keep going. This is where they would sleep at night. One thing I try to do with any of the female chickens that come in, any of the hens, is get an implant for them, because laying eggs is actually really, really difficult for their bodies, especially if that's something that they were doing prior to their life here, if they're an egg-laying hen, or even the Cornish cross girls who were technically destined to become slaughtered for meat. Laying an egg takes so much out of them. So we're a vegan sanctuary, so we don't eat them, but we do collect them every day, and if there is an egg, we feed them back to the girls, and then they're able to get a lot of that nutrition back that they lost through the process of trying to grow and lay an egg. This, don't you?
Oh my gosh.
Can you crack it? You try. You can do it. This one almost got it. Oh, come on. Do you want me to start it for you? Oh. Yummy! This is RuPaul. He has the name because he is so fancy. And we'll let him strut. He has such a fancy strut, fancy colors. He's always kind of showing off a little bit for everybody. So his name was originally Charlie when he got here, and I usually don't change names, but he just didn't seem like a Charlie anymore. He was definitely RuPaul. Some of the girls in here I call the Golden Girls because they're senior chickens. They've been around for a number of years. This is their second, third, or even fourth home that they've had. A few of them came from the same home, a very loving home, but one of the caregivers passed away, and unfortunately it just became too much for the wife that was left, and she wanted to find them a good home, and she reached out to me, and here they are. They're amazing, and they're still doing really, really well despite their age. We think some of them are around 8, 9, even 10 years old, and that's why we call them the Golden Girls. Plus, they're beautiful. So we're in the duck house right now. They have a sort of outdoor area, an indoor area for at night, and an outdoor pond area that we're currently working on. The type of ducks here are a real mix. They've come from all kinds of different places. Some of the ducks here came from a hoarder who had every type of animal living in his house. So they took a while to kind of get adjusted to this new life that they have here. Some of the ducks came from really loving homes, and some ducks came from places that we really don't know where they came from, but they needed homes, and now they're here. So this is Coco. She's actually a mum. Her daughter is hiding in the corner here. Coco is about 12 years old. She was one of 3 pet goats at a dairy farm previously, and she's been living here for about 2 years now. And she has to be probably the sweetest but bossiest goat that lives here. Okay, so this is Jasper, that's Jasmine, and that's Tilly way over there. When they came here, they were much smaller, and they were only supposed to be here for a couple of weeks, just temporary, but they've actually never left. They're a lot bigger now, and they're just as sweet as they were the first day they arrived. They're like big puppy dogs. They're amazing. So this is Mallory. She is 28 years old this year. She has been an almost lifetime friend of Pedro the donkey. They've been together for about 20 years, and they basically fell in love at first sight, which is really special. Mallory, when she's here, she's very sassy and kind of does her own thing. She doesn't like to be told what to do. In fact, she tells everyone else what to do, but that's kind of what makes her so amazing. So this is Pedro. He is 36 years old this year. He hasn't been doing as well in the past year, but he did have a lot of health complications that we had to manage when he arrived here. He's lived in a number of different homes, Originally, he was used as a birthday party donkey for people to ride on, but then a really good family in Brampton rescued him about 20 years ago, and he lived a really happy life there for all those years until one of his caregivers passed away. He was definitely sad after that happened, and I think sometimes his heart still hurts and misses Ray, the man who was taking care of him. But ever since arriving here, he's definitely stolen everyone's heart. He's the nicest, most gentle donkey, I think, out there. But maybe I'm biased. So we have Fran and Bruno, Luna, Stella, and that's Lizzie in the back there. She was actually rescued from the Royal Winter Fair. One thing that a lot of people don't think about is when kids are involved in 4-H and they spend months taking care of an animal, learning how to groom them, feed them, all of that. At the end of it, after the big show at the Royal Winter Fair, they often send them off to be auctioned, which is ultimately to be slaughtered. And a little girl there was absolutely horrified by the idea of this. When she got here, she had absolutely no wool. She was sheared down to her bare skin in the middle of November. If you can imagine how cold they would be, it was horrifying. So she wore a t-shirt and sweaters for a number of months until her wool grew back in. This is Stella. She is our smallest sheep and our loudest sheep. She definitely lets you know when she's around. She loves to eat strawberries, and despite her size, she likes to push everyone around a little bit. So this is Fran, and she is from another world. She was actually rescued right off of Kilflora at Easter time. So she was destined to be slaughtered and on someone's plate by Easter Monday. But through Toronto Cow Save, we were able to negotiate getting her and one other lamb out of there. She's so gentle, so kind, so forgiving, and so lovely. So now we're in the barn, so this is where a lot of the larger animals spend the night. So everyone gets locked in at night. Chickens, ducks, sheep, pigs, goats, everyone is in. So you can see some of the stalls here. They all know which stall is theirs. So at the end of the day, it's actually really easy because you open them up and everyone just runs into where they're supposed to go to have their dinner. Hi, Pedro. What are you doing in there, Penny? Taking a nap? Hi, Penny. Okay, so this is Penny, and she's actually the first potbelly pig to ever come to live here. And she must be at least 8 or 9 years old now. She came here when she was about 6. Anyway, she's very sassy. She definitely has her own personality. She's a bit of a loner. She sticks to herself. She doesn't really like to hang out with any of the other potbelly pigs. But at the same time, she also enjoys a couple scratches here and there. And she's just moved into her new area. So right now we are in the potbelly pig forest. They each have their own little cabins. So Penny has her own cabin here, and I'm sitting in front of Charlene, Verushka, and Claudia's cabin. And at night, that's where they go in to sleep, and during the day, they wander around the forest, rooting everything up and having a pretty good time. So this is Regan. She actually just arrived today. She was at the Humane Society in Guelph, and they weren't really sure where she came from. She was just found on a country road. She has the look that she came most likely from a battery cage or egg-laying farm. The lack of feathers and the picking and all that kind of stuff is pretty indicative of being in a very cramped space. She was at the Guelph Humane Society for about a month, and as I said, today is her first day here, so hopefully we'll be able to check in soon and show some improvement in her feather condition. Overall, she seems pretty happy to be here. So a lot of times people are asking how they can come see the animals, how they can help, and there's a lot of different ways that people can become involved. So one way would be to come for a tour. Come for an hour, meet all the animals that you see online in person, which can be really exciting. Or you could come for a volunteer day and help with some of the projects that we're working on. There is always something on the go here, so there's never a lack of things to do. Another thing that you can do that we haven't been doing for a while, it had to be put on hold, is to come for a farm stay. So we're slowly working on getting this cute tiny cabin up and ready so that people can come and stay for a day or a couple days and have their own private space, still close to the animals and with all the amenities that you would need to have a good weekend away and still get to enjoy the sanctuary life at the same time. Sanctuaries often depend a lot on donations. They're really hard to ask for, definitely not easy to put the word out about, but the donations go to all kinds of things. So it can go towards vet bills, feed, animal care in general, and also being able to accommodate more animals or provide better space for the animals that we already have. One example of what we're doing with donations that we received last year is creating a new space for our senior donkey Pedro and our senior horse Mallory so that they can have their own space separate from the goats and the sheep and all the more energetic animals. And so right now I'm standing on what will be their new house, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.